The blueprint for a modern American blitz begins not with boots on the ground, but with an invisible electronic surge designed to paralyze a nation's central nervous system. Across the dark expanse of the Persian Gulf, U.S. Navy destroyers stand like silent sentinels, their vertical launch systems primed for a coordinated, high-velocity kinetic opening. Within the first hour of Week 1, a massive volley of Tomahawk cruise missiles clears the horizon, navigating via satellite toward the jagged coastline of the Iranian mainland. These precision-engineered projectiles are programmed to seek out and dismantle early warning radar installations, effectively stripping away the layers of Iranian national sovereignty in seconds. The strategic objective of the opening salvo is total atmospheric blindness, ensuring that the enemy's sophisticated air defense network becomes a series of disconnected, useless islands. As the radar screens across Tehran flicker and die, the American military initiates the first phase of its primary doctrine, the immediate decapitation of senior political leadership. High-yield ordnance finds its mark at the heart of the Supreme Leader's fortified compound, a calculated strike meant to shatter the chain of command and induce internal panic. Below the surface of the chaos, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps finds its communication nodes severed, leaving localized units to fend for themselves without central strategic guidance. From the decks of Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, hundreds of additional missiles are launched to pummel hardened military bases and secure deep-water ports against any potential naval retaliation. This overwhelming display of standoff power keeps American sailors hundreds of miles from the coastline, utilizing technology to project force while minimizing the risk to human life. High above the kinetic carnage, the EA-18G Growler takes center stage, acting as an electronic predator that feasts on the frequencies of the Russian-made S-300 missile systems. These specialized electronic warfare jets do not carry traditional bombs, but instead deploy concentrated digital noise that renders enemy interceptors unable to lock onto incoming targets. The sky becomes a graveyard of signals, allowing fifth-generation stealth fighters like the F-35 Lightning II to slip into enemy airspace without triggering a single alarm. These invisible ghosts of the Air Force and Navy kick down the door, methodically picking off tactical surface-to-air batteries that survived the initial cruise missile strikes. With the path cleared by stealth, the F-15E Strike Eagle, the heavy-lifting workhorse of the fleet, arrives to deliver a crushing weight of conventional explosives to military infrastructure. Once the regional air defense network is confirmed as dismantled, Central Command authorizes the deployment of the legendary B-52 Stratofortress to dominate the high-altitude corridors. These massive Cold War titans operate with impunity over the target zones, dropping gargantuan payloads on military-industrial complexes and sprawling command and control centers. By the conclusion of the first 7 days, military analysts estimate that nearly 2,000 high-value targets have been reduced to smoldering ruins and twisted structural steel. In a masterstroke of psychological warfare, the United States deploys a weapon that the Iranian regime knows all too well, the clone Shahed suicide drone. Having captured and reverse-engineered these signature Iranian weapons, American engineers have supercharged them with advanced domestic sensors and high-explosive warheads for a taste of irony. Swarms of these expendable, American-built drones are launched into the heart of the territory, overwhelming the remaining point defenses with their own indigenous design. As Week 2 dawns, the strategic focus shifts from the sky to the sea, targeting the Iranian Navy's ability to disrupt the world's most vital energy arteries. The Joshan, a fast attack craft and pride of the Iranian coastal fleet, attempts to close the distance with the United States Surface Action Group near the strait. In a desperate gambit, the Iranian vessel fires a vintage Harpoon missile, a relic of pre-revolution sails that now represents their dwindling hope for a tactical victory. The cruiser USS Wainwright responds instantly, deploying a cloud of electronic countermeasures and metallic chaff that confuses the missile's seeker head, sending it harmlessly into the water. Without hesitation, the American warship returns fire with a modern missile battery, striking the Joshan amidships and sending the vessel to the bottom in a violent explosion. This engagement marks the first direct missile duel between opposing warships in modern history, establishing a clear precedent for the absolute naval superiority of the American fleet. Next, the frigate Sahand sails out to challenge the carrier strike group, attempting to use its anti-aircraft batteries to fend off a swarm of Navy attack jets. The response from the sky is immediate and overwhelming, as Harpoon missiles and laser-guided munitions from the destroyer USS Joseph Strauss converge on the Sahand's hull. The Sahand is pounded relentlessly until its own internal ammunition stores ignite, creating a catastrophic secondary explosion that breaks the back of the ship in minutes. By the afternoon of the same day, the frigate Sabalan attempts a final, futile gesture of defiance by launching a surface-to-air missile at a passing American fighter. The American pilot easily maneuvers out of the missile's path, loops behind the frigate, and drops a single 500-pound laser-guided bomb directly down the ship's smokestack. The precision of the strike is surgical, detonating deep within the engine room and leaving the Sabalan dead in the water as a smoking testament to technical dominance. With the Iranian surface fleet neutralized, the United States secures the Strait of Hormuz, ensuring that global oil markets remain stable despite the ongoing high-intensity conflict. Week 3 transitions the campaign into a specialized phase of deep Earth penetration, focusing entirely on the elimination of the regime's clandestine nuclear enrichment facilities. $2 billion B-2 Spirit stealth bombers are called into action, flying non-stop from bases in the continental United States to strike targets buried beneath mountains of granite. These facilities are not simple warehouses, but heavily fortified labyrinths designed to withstand anything short of a direct nuclear strike from the world's superpowers. Time is of the essence, as intelligence reports suggest the enemy is moving critical enrichment centrifuges and nuclear fuel deeper into these impenetrable underground bunkers. To counter this, the B-2S released the GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, a 30,000-pound bunker buster designed to tunnel through dozens of feet of reinforced concrete. The resulting detonations collapsed the underground networks entirely, burying the regime's nuclear ambitions under millions of tons of rubble and setting their program back decades. As the final phase of the Blitz begins in Week 4, the massive bombing campaigns give way to a sophisticated, high-tech game of hunter and hunted. The United States achieves total air superiority, allowing F-22 Raptors and F-15s to maintain a 24-hour combat air patrol over every square inch of Iranian territory. Supported by a relentless rotation of aerial refueling tankers, these fighters wait for any sign of movement from the remaining mobile ballistic missile launchers hidden in the hills. High above the atmosphere, Space Force satellites scan the terrain with infrared sensors, feeding real-time targeting data directly into the cockpits of the patrolling jets. Coordination for these strikes is handled by the E-2D Hawkeye, the digital quarterback of the sky, which manages hundreds of friendly assets simultaneously to prevent any friendly fire. The guiding principle of the entire 4-week operation remains clear: achieve total strategic victory through air and sea power without ever putting a single boot on the ground. MQ-9 Reaper drones circle the desert like vultures, their cameras zoomed in on the concealed entrances of underground missile silos and camouflage transport vehicles. The moment an Iranian crew attempts to roll out a ballistic missile for a retaliatory launch, the Reaper releases a Hellfire missile to end the threat instantly. This relentless pressure ensures that the Iranian military is never given the breathing room to reorganize or launch a meaningful counterattack against regional allies. By the end of the month, the Iranian military infrastructure has been methodically dismantled, leaving the regime with no choice but to face the reality of their total isolation. Despite the overwhelming atmospheric dominance of the United States, Iran still retains a critical strategic advantage hidden within the narrow geography of the strait. The Iranian Navy leverages the jagged coastline to set up lethal ambushes, specifically where they know the massive American carriers are forced to navigate. Beneath the waves, silent Iranian attack submarines lie in wait to launch coordinated torpedo strikes against the hulls and propulsion systems of the American fleet. A single successful torpedo hit on a Ford-class aircraft carrier could cripple its flight deck operations, significantly stalling the Navy's ability to project rapid air power. To further complicate the maritime environment, these submarines deploy advanced underwater mines in critical sea lanes, funneling U.S. warships into predetermined high-risk kill zones. These zones are covered by coastal missile batteries and drone swarms that wait for the exact moment a warship is distracted by an underwater threat. However, the Iranian strategy assumes that disabling a carrier strike group would end the American campaign, a calculation that ignores the depth of U.S. power. Even if a carrier were forced to retreat, the United States holds a strategic ace that operates independently of shipping lanes and regional naval presence. This is the domain of the Air Force Global Strike Command, a force capable of raining down precision destruction from halfway across the planet. Without needing a single regional runway or carrier deck, the United States can sustain a high-intensity bombing campaign for months using its heavy strategic assets. The big three strategic bombers, the B-2, the B-1B, and the B-52 are designed to deploy anywhere on the globe in under 24 hours' notice. Leading the charge is the
Pre-flight
B-2 Spirit,
diagnostic
the world's most advanced stealth bomber, capable of flying non-stop from Missouri to the heart of the Iranian plateau. Its mission is to slip through the most sophisticated radar networks undetected and drop massive bunker busters on the regime's most sensitive military and nuclear assets. Following the stealth opening, the B-1B Lancer, affectionately known as the Bone, screams across the battlefield at supersonic speeds to deliver massive payloads of munitions. The Lancer carries the largest internal payload of any bomber in the inventory, allowing it to saturate target zones with dozens of satellite-guided cruise missiles. Finally, The B-52 Stratofortress acts as a flying missile truck, launching long-range standoff weapons from hundreds of miles away, well outside the reach of Iranian defenses. The playbook is a synchronized dance of destruction where each bomber plays a specific role in dismantling the enemy's will and capacity to resist. While the B-2 blinds the enemy by destroying their S-400 systems, the B-1B mops up tactical targets and the B-52 levels critical industrial infrastructure. This tiered approach ensures that limited stealth resources are used only where necessary, while conventional heavyweights provide the volume of fire needed for victory. The sheer scale of this aerial armada means that no target is safe, regardless of how deep it is buried or how well it is guarded. This leads to the fundamental question of sustainability. How can a single carrier group and its crew maintain such a relentless operational tempo for weeks? The answer lies in the deployment of multiple carrier strike groups that trade entire shifts to maintain a permanent 24/7 presence over the battle space. This is the doctrine of battle rhythm, a rigid and sophisticated schedule that ensures the military machine never stops beating until the objective is met. On the flight deck, the carrier functions like a floating city of 5,000 people, all working in high-stakes harmony to launch and recover aircraft. The operational pulse of the air wing involves launching and trapping jets every 60 to 90 minutes for 12 to 15 hours straight without pause. It is a deafening and dangerous assembly line of combat power, where sailors in colored jerseys move millions of dollars of hardware with surgical precision. Beneath the flight deck, Command Pulse keeps the senior leadership locked in a cycle of intelligence briefings, targeting boards, and rapid mission planning. This rhythm transforms what could be absolute chaos into a sustainable and professional routine of modern high-intensity warfare that exhausts the enemy's resources. By maintaining this pace, the United States ensures that the Iranian defenders are never given a single hour of quiet to reorganize their shattered forces. Every time an Iranian commander attempts to signal a subordinate, an American aircraft or electronic warfare platform is already there to intercept and neutralize. The synergy between space-based intelligence and the strike platforms creates a kill web that is nearly impossible for a conventional military to escape or bypass. As the Blitz enters its final phase, the focus shifts to ensuring the Iranian regime cannot rebuild its long-range missile capabilities for the foreseeable future. Specialized teams of analysts use satellite imagery to identify every potential launch site, including those hidden within civilian infrastructure or deep mountain tunnels. The F-22 Raptor, with its superior sensor suite, acts as a forward scout, identifying targets and passing the data to B-1B bombers loitering nearby. This integration of 4th, 5th, and 6th generation technology creates a seamless transition from detection to destruction that leaves the enemy with zero reaction time. In the coastal regions, the U.S. Navy's P-8 Poseidon aircraft monitor the waters for any remaining submarine threats, dropping sonar buoys to map the seafloor. Any vessel that attempts to break the blockade is met with immediate force, reinforcing the total maritime isolation of the Iranian mainland from the world. The psychological weight of this isolation is intended to force a diplomatic collapse or a military coup within the Iranian government's remaining power structures. By the end of the 4-week window, the strategic map shows an Iran that is militarily paralyzed, electronically blinded, and economically cut off from its allies. The American Blitz serves as a blueprint for how a technological superpower can dismantle a regional adversary without committing to a long-term ground occupation. The zero boots on the ground strategy relies entirely on the perfection of the machines and the discipline of the sailors and airmen operating them. It is a testament to the evolution of warfare, where the distance between the trigger and the target can span thousands of miles of ocean and sky. The final days of the campaign are characterized by precision mop-up operations, where any lingering pockets of resistance are methodically identified and eliminated by drones. With the nuclear program neutralized and the naval fleet on the bottom of the ocean, the primary objectives of the campaign are fully realized. The Strait of Hormuz remains open, the regional balance of power is restored, and the threat of a wider conflict is temporarily mitigated by force. As the carriers finally turn back toward the open sea, the battle rhythm slows, and the focus shifts to the long-term monitoring of the region. The shadow of the American air wing remains a permanent fixture in the minds of those who witnessed the speed and scale of the Blitz. Technology has changed the nature of conflict, making the opening hours of a war more decisive than the months of attrition that used to follow. The hypothetical 4-week Blitz demonstrates that in the modern era, speed, stealth, and electronic dominance are the ultimate arbiters of national survival. As the sun sets over a silent Persian Gulf, the American military maintains its watch, ready to restart the pulse of the battle rhythm whenever necessary.